Well, hello there, my little feathered freaks, and welcome back to 31 Films of Halloween. Day 25. Woo-hoo-hoo. Y'all, we almost there. I can see the finish line from here. Somewhere. But before we finish, you know what to do. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Another Scream Queen 76 me. Okay, y'all. So as we know, the Oscars seems to always overlook the horror genre. Not always. Sometimes they recognize it, but it's been very few and far between. And I know a lot of folks are like, Oscar schmoskers is all political, blah, blah, blah. And I get it, trust me. I used to be all about the Oscars, and now I'm kind of like the same way. But every now and again, a category catches my attention, and I kind of want to find out if somebody gets their victory. And that's the case with today's film. It is from 2010, and it's called Black Swan. And it's directed by Darren Aronofsky. And he's done some great movies. He directed Mother with Jennifer Lawrence. Also The Whale with Brendan Fraser, who won an Oscar for that movie, although it's not horror. And Requiem for a Dream. Y'all, I almost thought about doing that one. Lord, no. I just don't think, I'm not strong enough. I mean, I saw it one time and I thought I was going to have to go into therapy or something. Good Lord. Anywho, so Black Swan has 3 writers for the screenplay: Mark Hyman, Andreas Hines, and John McLaughlin. And the film's got a great cast. In the lead, we have Natalie Portman as Nina Sayers. And Natalie Portman, Miss Natalie won the Oscar that year for Best Actress. You got Natalie. And it is very well deserved. I looked up the roster to see who the other nominees were, and yes, everybody gave great performances, but this was Natalie's year, hands down, and it shows in this performance. There was like no doubt. She was a shoo-in. Rounding out the rest of the cast, we've got Mila Kunis as Lily, Vincent Cassel as Thomas Leroy, the wonderful Winona Ryder as Beth McIntyre, and the equally wonderful Barbara Hershey as Erica Sayers. So, the story follows Nina Sayers, and she is a ballerina, and she's actually quite talented. Unfortunately, she does not have a lot of self-confidence. She's very quiet, she's very withdrawn, she's very reserved. And throughout the film, until we get closer to the ending, we notice that she's almost in this permanent state of adolescence. She just seems to wear nothing but like pinks and ivory colors. Even her room is more like a child's room. There's like stuffed animals, all over the place. And it just seems like the room of a 12-year-old instead of, this very experienced ballet dancer. And so Nina hears about there's a role for the Swan Queen in Thomas Leroy's new revisionist take of Swan Lake. And she wants this part bad. She wants it like the prize and a box of Cracker Jack. Like, dig, give me this cheap piece of crap. But this role is not a cheap piece of crap. Like, she is coveting this part. And everything seems to center around it for her. And she kind of becomes obsessed with wanting this role. And so she auditions for it. She doesn't think she's going to get it. She goes and talks to Thomas Leroy about it. And Thomas Leroy, Lord, he is a dirt bag. I mean, dude is like a Harvey Weinstein. He's all inappropriate shenanigans with Nina. And like, oh, it's just, he gross. He just so gross. And he really just, later on in the film, pushes Nina to almost her breaking point. And he seems to have a knack for doing that. Because later on, we're introduced to Beth McIntyre, played by Winona Ryder. And she was she was a protege of Thomas Leroy's as well. And Winona Ryder does not have very many scenes in this film. What she is in, she's freaking awesome. I really wish they could have like expanded her part, because she is just a very sad and angry and betrayed character in this movie. And I wish they had expanded on it just a little bit more. But alas, what we do get is great. And then we also have Barbara Hershey, who plays Nina Sayers' mother, Erica. And Barbara Hershey is great in this too. She doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but with what she's got, she's on point. And we kind of get the impression that there's this sort of very awkward and tense relationship with them. Like, Erica has babied Nina a little bit too much. And there's Erica's character alludes to Nina's instability mentally during one scene when there are some scratches that appear, or where they look like scratches, on Nina's shoulder. And she, questions, are you scratching yourself again? So the audience is led to believe that there is a past history of some mental illness on Nina's part. Well, anyway, so Nina gets this role, and I mean, she is hardcore into it. Unfortunately, it's a dual role. She plays the White Swan and the Black Swan. The White Swan she's got down pat, because the White Swan is just her personality to begin with. But the Black Swan is just much more out there. It's more of a seductive role. You have to really put yourself into it, and that's just not Nina's vibe. Like, she's like, no, I'm gonna stay at home, crochet with my kitty cat, and watch the Golden Girls. Wait, that's me. Wrong person. Oops. But yeah, she's really none of these things that she needs to be for this part. And so Thomas is just like pushing her and pushing her and pushing her to the breaking point. And we start to notice that Nina is beginning this transformation. And she becomes friends with Lily, played by Mila Kunis, who is also in this ballet troupe. And Lily is the complete opposite of what Nina is. She's dark, she's seductive, she's this free spirit, and she has this I don't give a fuck attitude and does whatever she wants to. And so Lily tries to kind of like pull her out of her shell and kind of get her to do more daring things, to like find that darkness basically within her. Takes her out to a club. They meet some guys. She gets her drunk. And we start to see Nina changing, but not for the better. I mean, whew, Lord mercy. I mean, talk about being into your art. That's the thing. If you're into the arts, whether it's painting or film, ballet, poetry, or any of that, I can't speak for everybody, but it is hard sometimes to separate the art from yourself, and you really do have to pull back. And that's what this movie doesn't do. Nina does not pull back. She is like head first into the deep end of the pool with this, and there is nothing that's going to alter her decisions on how she handles things. And we've got some body horror going in here. I don't know, the body horror stuff is stalking me this year, y'all. I'm trying to get away from it, but whew, Lord have mercy. I put a restraining order out and everything, and yet poof, 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 there it is on my doorstep. And the body horror here isn't too severe. Like, it's doable. And I won't tell you what it is, but it does have to do with this transformation type situation. And for those of you who've already seen the movie, you obviously know exactly what I'm talking about. And mirrors play a huge role in this film. It is basically a reflection of who Nina is and perceives herself really to be, but then there's this whole reflection of who she needs to be and who she wants to be. reluctantly, I think, in my opinion. And so mirrors play a really good part. There's a scene actually where she is in her bedroom with her mother, and there's a three-way mirror, and the reflections of the two of them are cast opposite. And I just found that to be a real interesting take on their personalities, since they have a conflicting relationship as well. This movie is about obsession, being consumed by your art, mental illness, and really just kind of pushing yourself beyond your limits. I will give the movie, I'm going to give it 4.25 pumpkins. I mean, Natalie Portman's performance carries this film. It's got a little bit of gore in there, obviously, because there's some body horror elements, but this movie is also a bit of a mind fuck as well, because Natalie Portman is the narrator, of course, of her own story, and so we're in her head and we're trying to figure out, is this for real, or is this just part of her descent into madness, essentially? So yeah, 4.25 pumpkins. And until next time, if you start sprouting feathers or getting some webbed toes, y'all, something foul is afoot. Get it? Foul. Bird, swan, foul.